right, welcome back to Modern Mondays here at Guardian Games in Portland, Oregon. We're Portland Paper. I am Travis Cooper, co-commentating with vintage VW enthusiast, lord of all the lands, maybe an actual, literally boomer John player.
Fuck you. Fuck you.
Nat Crosman.
Not a boomer, officially Generation X.
Okay.
Born in 1970, so not a boomer. Nat Crosman, commentating with Travis in the booth. And I'm here for the color and the play-by-play, because if you're looking for me for strategy, you're looking to the wrong guy. All right, looks like we have Vinny here on Merefolk, as is his wont to play, and Maddie on Enchantress. Travis, you got any thoughts about this matchup?
Fish are pretty good about being able to play a tempo game, getting down threats, and then holding up some interaction. I don't know what flavor of Enchantress Maddie is playing, but usually it takes a minute to build up, but once you get the card, like there's several cards that are like when you play an enchantment, you're going to draw a card, and when that engine gets going, it's hard to stop. And I know that Maddie's playing Solemnity because she asked if our life counters go below 0.
And Vinny has 2 of those chalices in his hand. Does it make sense to try to get one on 2 in this matchup?
I feel like Vinny probably just doesn't know what he's playing against, but Chalice on 2 is pretty good against Enchantress.
Yeah.
1 is actually even fine too, because they're playing a lot of like abundant growth, Utopia sprawl type effects to fuel the cheap card draw. So yeah, anywhere from 1 to 2 is good, but I don't think 0 is going to be that great.
No. Vinny playing it out in the blind there, but Vinny does have a Cavern of Souls in hand, so he will be able to land his critters once he names a different value than 0. So he's going to be fine with his Aether Vault or his Aether Vial and his Cavern of Souls. He can play everything he wants. Vinny doesn't look like he needs the die on top of the deck the way I seem to often need in order to not miss those triggers.
Looks like there's a Force of Negation hanging out there. So
Chalice on 1 seems good.
Vinny seems to have a bunch of like the interactive cards for Merefolk.
Yep.
Maybe 1 Lord hanging out over there. So
yeah, I think he definitely wants to be the aggro in this match. So it's a little too bad for him that he doesn't have more action to throw out. But assuming he can draw. There we go. Is that the one that gives him Shroud?
I believe that is the Sterling Grove, so that was the reprint of
other
Modern Masters.
Other enchantments have Shroud and also Tutors. Pretty useful in that deck.
And we are going to get that Force of Negation.
Yep.
Which is interesting because I feel like you kind of really want to counter like Enchantress Presence are something that's going to draw cards. Sterling Grove can search it, but maybe Vinny just kind of wanted to use the Force of Negation when he could to sort of play a tempo game there. Now we got 2 Lords.
It's, he's not going to be removing any of those enchantments, at least not in game 1. So it's a little hard to know if that was the right play. And it looks like he's down to just the 1 card in hand now. I guess he probably puts that into play at the end of this turn. Have there, is that Solemnity?
That is a Solemnity.
And what does Solemnity do? You'll have to refresh.
Players can't get counters, and well, nothing can get counters. And yeah, that's the card.
Yeah, so Vial is now officially stuck. No triggers to remember. 2 is not a bad place for it to be stuck for Vinny.
That's an interesting play. All right.
It took me a long time, Travis, to realize playing my Jund that is not Boomer Jund, because not a Boomer. But it did take me a long time to realize that you take the Silvergill Adept and not the Lord when you thought he's a fish player.
Yeah, that's one of the few cards that lets Merefolk kind of recoup some card advantage there.
Yeah, and they never want to swing with the Lord if they don't have the Island Walk, so. Yeah, Silvergill Adept. It took me longer than I like to admit that.
I think we're looking
figure
for a
out.
Phyrexian Unlife here for Maddie, and that basically will sort of seal the deal here, unless Vinny is playing something like a Brazen Borrower.
So that's the creature Sidrus, and I forget what Sidrus
It
does.
just whenever you play an enchantment, you get to draw a card, or whenever you
Yeah.
cast an enchantment, you get to draw a card. Right, just fetch him for planes there.
Interesting.
So this kind of leads me to believe that Maddie has like Blood Moon in her deck if we're playing Prismatic
Yeah.
Vista.
Yeah, that seems likely. Also, the has Maddie cracked any regular fetches? Any
I
dual fetches?
have not seen any non-Prismatic Vista
yeah.
fetches.
So Vinny can run them both out right here. Do you think you do that and just go full aggro?
Yeah, you just
Silvergill
try.
Adept right here and see what you pull off the top.
I feel like you're trying to get Maddie dead as
Yeah.
quickly as possible because you're probably expecting there to be some shenanigans.
Yeah, agree. So we got going to be swinging with 2 4/4s and 2 5/4s. That's a lot. Oh, 1 5/4.
All right, swinging for 13.
Well, Maddie does not have a lot of time to not die.
Yeah, I think it's Phyrexian Unlife or bust here,
Agree.
probably.
Yeah.
Oh,
Do you see it in
hello.
there? Oh, there it is. Yep, there's that face.
Let's see. What do we have hanging out over there?
So for viewers at home, I don't believe y'all can see the zooming and panning that's going on here on the monitors in the...
Oh yeah, they can.
Oh, really?
They got it. This is a live view we're watching
This
here.
is what
Yeah.
they see? Oh, all right. I don't ever remember seeing you pan and scan like that, but it sure does seem like a good way to spot those cards.
It's some new technology we got going, you know. Always improving the stream.
You sure are. You sure are. It makes me glad I've supported you all these times.
Oh yeah,
months.
that should have been in the superlative
There
in
you
the intro.
go.
Our longest running subscriber to the Twitch channel. VIP badge. I think the only VIP badge holder.
That's right. And in fact, I was the first subscriber and still am subscribing, having never stopped during the pandemic.
You know, like Journey says, don't stop believing.
If Journey says it, I'm with it. Not a boomer. Repeating. 51 years old. Generation X. So does Vinny get out of this?
No. I mean, I think the way you get out of it is you are playing a Brazen Borrower or a Vincer in your main deck.
Right.
And then you're able to bounce Phyrexian Unlife.
Yeah. How many turns do you think he gives it? So if he keeps playing here, it's kind of, in effect, admitting that that's the case.
Well, I think you need to take Maddie to 0. And that's going to be important when you get the bounce effect, so it'll be an immediate win. But yeah, that Sterling Grove, you're going to have 2 bounce effects because there's a Sterling Grove out there now. So.
Oh, right. So it's shrouded the one that you care about.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about Vinny's sideboard at this point?
No. I mean, I imagine you're playing some kinds, because you're a mono blue deck, so you're going to have to play some kind of bounce effects in between the main deck and the sideboard to deal with problematic permanents, like Ensnaring Bridge, or, could be any number of things. Knight of Souls Betrayal.
Isn't that 5 mana now? Or is that a 4 mana enchantment?
It's a 4 mana enchantment,
4.
yeah. There's one that costs 5 that just affects all of your opponents and not yourself, but
that's the one
5's a little too expensive. So I think we're basically just going to be watching Maddie draw cards.
Yeah, and maybe Vinny's, kind of partly playing to see what else is in the deck here. I know I would not know what to expect out of the Enchantress deck necessarily. I did see one of our classic younger players, played here a long time, Jordan, out on the floor today. He plays Enchantress, or did for a long, long time.
Yeah, used to be known as Enchantment Kid, now is
Enchantment Kid.
Enchantment Adult.
That's right. That's right. Enchantment took a year off, took a year break before college down in San Francisco, I think I remember.
Yeah, and we have had Jordan on coverage playing Urian Enchantress.
Oh, look at this. So Vinny gonna just see how low he can get his opponent.
If you get to like negative 100, you win.
It feels like that should be a rule. If you go negative more than your original starting life total.
Wait, no, I don't. I only go to negative 10, right? Because everything after that.
No, you still keep going.
No, you don't. Once you get negative, you stop.
Do you know, Travis? Is that right? To only go to -10 and stop?
Yeah, I feel like this is a judge call situation, but I think you just keep going down because when you play ad nauseum, you basically just can go negative however much. It's been a while, but I think if I remember Phyrexian Unlife correctly, you have to go to 0.
Yeah.
And then after that point, the next source that deals you damage will take you into negatives.
But Maddie was at -8, but can't get poison counters.
Yeah.
Okay, right.
Alright, so I will tap him this for 1, 2, 3, 4.
Chad is saying that Maddie should be at 1 and not be getting any counters, so the infect doesn't matter.
Yeah, they should probably call a judge.
Yeah.
Is it going to matter? Not really.
Not likely.
But that's something. If you're ever in this situation, you're playing at your local game store, call a judge. They can tell you the hows and the whys.
It's often common for newer players in Magic the Gathering to feel uncomfortable about calling a judge as though it might be an offensive thing or question their opponent. But if there are any newer players watching the stream and listening today, you should know calling a judge is part of the game. It's wholly expected. You are always, always encouraged to call the judge, and nobody will ever give you a hard time for it. And if they do, they're the jerk, not you. Just be
Yeah, they'll
advised.
also probably get disqualified if they give you a hard time for calling a judge. So very, very few things you can actually get DQ'd for. But
Even at regular REL like this, can you get DQ'd like that?
yeah, that's basically the only thing that can really happen because you're not going to get infraction warnings. You'll just
see.
get a DQ, but you have to do something pretty egregious. Okay, we got some triggers. We got some card draw. Looking for a closer here.
Board state is pretty complicated. It's a good thing it doesn't matter.
So how many enchantments?
And what are our tokens representing here?
They might be angels. I'm gonna do a little
Yeah, so I can't.
little zoom on. We don't. We've got all these cards that people aren't super familiar
Spirit
with,
Cleric.
but I think
Yeah.
this is giving us
Heart.
Hallowed Haunting. There we go. As long as you control 7 or more enchantments, creatures you control have flying. No, well,
Yeah, we changed out something, right?
Yeah.
whatever. There's some reason why we're getting tokens.
They're the Spirit Clerics, and
Spirit Cleric.
and
okay,
they're
yeah.
like they're 7/7s or something now. I'm not sure how many creatures that Maddie has in play. Yeah. And Vinny maybe at this point just paying attention to learn how the deck operates.
Oh yeah, the spinner also has a mana dump effect, so you can get some big attacks in. I mean, yeah, we're sort of just going through the steps here and just drawing a bunch of cards. And Vinny's probably gonna try to piece together what is the actual win condition, what cards matter, etc.
Right. Well, Maddie's Flyers over there are getting pretty big and can swing in with at least some of them, I believe. Or were they all this turn?
Vinny's maybe hoping that Maddie decks herself, because a lot of the draw a card effects aren't optional.
Right. Right.
All right, that's enough for Scooperoo there.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry.
All right. Vinny bowing to inevitability.
The sideboards, what do we have for Vinny? We've got a Relic. We've got some Echoing Truth. Those are coming in. Probably Dress Down's not bad. Can buy you some time.
What are you doing with Dress Down? Just stopping the card draw?
Some Brazen Borrowers in there too. Yeah, I feel like Dress Down is maybe you play it in response to one of the draw. There's several creatures that'll draw Maddie a card when she casts an enchantment, so you might just cast it in response to that as a cantrip. If you like, Chalices seem not great. It might be, Dress Down isn't an amazing card in the matchup. It might be worth it to bring in.
Chalice seems potentially okay on the play, maybe, but not great. What do you care about out of the Enchantress deck besides the Sidrus? Sidrus is 3, right?
2.
2.
Yeah.
So if you can land the Chalice on turn 4 on the play, you maybe get some value out of it at 2.
There's a couple other of those. There's like Enchantress's Presence. I don't know the exact build that Maddie's playing, but there's usually like 12 cards that you're playing that'll draw you a card when you cast either enchantment enters the battlefield or you cast it, depending on which card it is.
All 4 of them.
Sidrus is like the best because it's the cast trigger and it only costs 2.
Now, do you cast trigger seems important with the counter spells, I guess. But if you're Maddie, you think you're running some EEs probably. Maybe not, because it hits so much of your stuff.
I think you might play some effects like on thin ice or like some exile, like portable holes, something along those lines. Pretty much you're going to be playing kind of like worse versions of cards, but they're enchantments, so they have synergy with your deck.
Yeah. So portable hole's an artifact, but there are enchantments that do that, aren't there?
Yeah, you have like Chain to the Rocks or
That's
On
what I was
Thin
thinking
Ice,
of, Chain to the Rocks, And you said On Thin Ice, which I was thinking Break the Ice. It didn't really make any sense to me, but now it does.
But yeah, I don't know the tech for enchantment sideboards.
Not a deck that I'm unhappy to see very rarely, I have to admit.
It feels similar to Boggles, where like they have things that make their stuff like House Shroud, and then all their stuff just like draws some cards and gets out of control, and there's not much you can really do about it once it starts.
Yeah, I think Vinny's kind of in a tough spot here. He's not a mid-range deck. He doesn't have a lot of different angles he can play to, and Maddie's main angle is really going to shut off most of what his deck is about. It does seem like Enchantress more or less sitting in the driver's seat in this pairing, I think.
Yeah, I think Vinny, I mean, it shows you like how Merefolk can be a very powerful deck whenever you can play the tempo game plan. But Enchantress is pretty low to the ground in terms of impactful spells that they're able to play on turn 2. And so I think it's hard for Vinny to like be able to have threat plus interaction unless you're like on the play and have a turn 1 Vial, which that seems very essential in this matchup is turn 1 Vial, at least a meaningful sideboard card, and then curving out your threats.
Right. Yes, I think that makes a lot of sense to me. For those watching at home, if you ever get a chance to come play here at Guardian Games, you should definitely take it. We have another really good crowd tonight. I'm guessing there's probably 50 to 60 players.
We're like, let's see, 45-ish.
45, which is pretty good for a Monday, and that's with in-town competition that didn't used to be here pre-pandemic. But also Guardian is one of the places where we get to drink a beer while we play, for those of you interested in that.
It's true. It's true. Nat is actually drinking a beer right now.
That's how you know it's true.
Wait.
Oh, hey, there we go.
Yeah. Cheers.
Hey. Look at my bald head glisten. Don't ever do this again, Travis.
We'll edit that off of the YouTube.
Yeah. You talk a big game.
All right, do we have a keeper? It looks like we got a dress down hanging there. There's a counter spell. We got an island. We're keeping it.
So here's a question for you, Travis. What do you think the effect of Urza's Saga is on a deck like Enchantress, which, like Vogel's, is pretty weak to Shadow Spear?
Oh,
When
that's
you're
interesting
trying to
thought.
get your removal nullified like you want to with these enchantment decks.
Yeah, you know, I haven't actually thought about the Shadow Spear affecting Enchantress, but that is, yeah, if you're playing against a lot of Saga decks that are heavy on removal, that is something to deal with, that you have to deal with.
It adds an additional white when you tap that land.
The
And
yeah, I definitely don't see the number of Urza Saga's decks around this shop that there were, you know, some months ago when MH2 was a little newer, but
It feels like it fluctuates. I think four color has sort of
yep.
kind of taken the place as the dominant deck to beat right now. And Saga decks don't have a great matchup against four color. All right.
Funderwonk, I think I would say that the theme song sure helps with the viewership,
Yeah.
and it's no wonder because it's the bangingest, ballingest banger out there for these streams, as far as I'm concerned.
All right. We're using a port here to get the land. Tap down and kind of constraining Maddie on colored mana. We got Rashad and Dockhand, which is very much like the card Rashad and Port, except it's on a creature.
Not a legacy player and would not know. And what's this land that Maddie's put into play, this colorless
That is
land?
a Hall of Heliod's Generosity. So it rebuys enchantments. It's kind of like the Academy Ruins for enchantments.
Oh, all right. Wait, Academy Ruins means you have no maximum hand size, so...
No, the Academy Ruins will put an artifact from a graveyard on top of your deck.
oh,
so
I'm thinking Reliquary.
yeah. That's what Hall of Heliod's Generosity does as well. So.
Gotcha. That's probably a one-up for them, I'm guessing.
So man, Vinny is really constraining himself on board development by tapping down this land every turn. Because I think we're stuck on just 2 mana for Vinny over here. All right, it looks like there's 2 counter spells in Vinny's hand, so Vinny may be hoping that Maddie goes for like a big payoff spell. All right, we're looking at the top 4 and finding an enchantment. It's not looking so hot for the Merefolk right now. I think Advantage Bar is kind of heavy on the Enchantress side.
It's true. Hard to argue with that.
All right, I think whatever the next play is going to get a counter spell.
So 4 mana up here. What? I'm trying to land a Solemnity here, I think. That looks like maybe.
Oh
Indeed.
boy, what's that one?
That's Solemnity, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know the art on many of these new cards. Newer. Maybe I am a boomer.
Okay.
There's the Thin Ice. So, Solemnity resolved.
So yeah, decided neither of those are worth countering.
Interesting. Do you agree?
It's tough, you know. I think the
Just cantripping.
Dockhand wasn't really doing much once Maddie hit like land drops like 2, 3, and 4. So, oh man, Vinny just can't draw another land.
God, he needs that early vial.
Oh yeah, we've got Destiny Spinner hanging out there. So
Oh, Destiny
kind of a
Spinner.
rough one.
Devious.
Yeah, creatures and enchantment spells you control can't be countered. Pretty strong when you're holding 2 counter spells.
And of course, both a creature and an enchantment.
I've only been playing for a couple of months now.
J-Dub, thanks for hanging out with us. We always appreciate new folks checking out the stream. Man, this seems like a rough matchup.
Yeah, I feel bad for Vinny round one to just get shut down like this, but it is the nature of the game we play.
Vinny can go home and just reminding himself that he was once an SCG champion.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Not many of our players at our stores could say that, but took down a Milwaukee event some years ago with, I think, Red Green Eldrazi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Post Eldrazi winter.
Possibly the only time he's ever even played that deck, to my knowledge, but did pretty well within that event.
All right. Now I think Vinny's just hoping there are no that Maddie's not going to be able to find a payoff here.
Ward just doesn't mean as much when you're playing against Enchantress.
Oh yeah, that's right. Good, but you can't tap it.
Well, theme song's going to happen between rounds. So for folks new to tuning in, we play 4 rounds of Modern Magic here every Monday, 7 p.m. Pacific time. And we've got a banger of a theme song that you'll hear in between rounds.
We do, and our rounds are actually 50 minutes long. I'm going to go have a look at the clock so we can maybe catch that up to the right time. So
thank you.
Hang
I appreciate
on,
that.
If you control an island, it gets +1/+1.
Okay.
So I'm gonna pick the snow-covered forest, so it'll turn into an island, and then you took control.
I'm just gonna. It's an island.
Yeah, here you can use this little guy as
Oh,
well.
sick. Yeah.
It's a handy token. Say go.
22 minutes, 10 seconds.
All right.
I will tap this with white. I will cast On Thin Ice, enchant the same land again, and eat that guy.
Yeah.
And
They're all in the snow-covered forest, right?
yeah, because I'm just stacking them in line with it. If that's cool.
Perfect. Yeah, so it's no longer an island.
Tap. Enchantress is present.
Yep.
And now it is your turn.
You know, so Travis, maybe you could speak to this because people will call it fish, but it's my understanding that fish is an old term in Magic the Gathering that has nothing to do with Merefolk, and it just speaks of a certain kind of deck. Do you know about this?
I think I've always thought of Merfolk as fish, and back Legacy days, like Legacy fish, but who knows what we need to find one of the OG Merfolk players. I played that as a Legacy deck like 6 or 7 years ago, back when you would play Standstill in Merfolk. It was pretty cool. All right.
Cool. I'm taking a sip.
Okay, we found the card draw here and some additional card draw. So
take that pain now, Maddie. Tap that Horizon Canopy.
you got it. There we go.
All right, we'll keep them honest.
Your turn.
I have to say, Travis, I don't play any snow basics.
Yeah, I also, I think there is obviously the reason Maddie's playing Snow Basics is for being able to use that to exile some creatures with On Thin Ice. But I guess if you're not playing Ragavans, there's not, basic choices. You've got a lot more interesting basic choices if you choose not to play Snow.
Exactly. I'm not sure if I showed you my Godzilla lands I'm currently running. Godzilla Basics.
Got in some Secret Lair action.
I had to. I have all those other Kamigawa legendary lands. I had to give me some legendary Godzilla Basics.
All right. Got to do some more damage now.
How is the hurting about to happen?
We're just going through the motions. I think Vinny's probably contemplating some life choices right now.
I did notice, by the way, that our backup team has been done, so we're going to have to go digging for somebody else to put on camera here in a moment or two, I imagine.
All right.
Oh, look at this Hall of Heliod's Generosity Cycling Shark Typhoon seems like could be pretty good.
Doesn't trigger Standstill, that's for sure.
And
Cool.
Standstill is.
It's a legacy card. It costs 2 mana. It's an enchantment, and when someone plays a card, the first player that plays a card, you sack the enchantment, and their opponent then draws 3 cards.
Cast Silver Gill Adept after revealing Merefolk or
Hmm.
It's kind of an old school legacy deck where you usually play lots of creature lands, stand still,
I see.
attack in.
So you're not playing any spells. You make your opponent do it, so you get the cards.
You play like Force of Wills and stuff, but yeah, mostly control deck. All right.
Just to add insult to injury, we're going to side in the Veil of Summer over there for Maddie.
I think there's still some outs, perhaps, for Vinny. I think we do have the Sterling Grove there, so you're gonna have to have like runner for outs.
Because they have
Um,
protection from blue.
They do not have protection from blue. Things you have hexproof from blue, which means they
Oh,
can't
that's right.
target.
Never mind.
Yeah,
I
slightly
misread
different.
it.
Yeah, you're good. So
I was thinking of a different thing.
you're
I'm
okay.
not blocking shit. I'm just gonna take how much?
6, 10. So 0.
Was that 8?
Minus 2.
Yeah, so I go down to -2. Alright.
So if you use that mana to counter the Solemnity and your Vinny, do you still have a problem right now?
Well, I think we had we couldn't counter the Solemnity, right? That was.
Do we already have
I think the
dude in play?
I think the dude was in play,
yeah.
so it's just sad
That's
times.
where you need like a subtlety or whatever, or spell queller or some damn thing that doesn't counter.
Green. Grove. Draw 2 cards.
Which, by the way, philosophically, I have a little bit of a problem with. I'm going to say these
Wow.
spells that counter spells, but they're not actually quote unquote countering them.
Yeah, well, I think that second Sterling Grove sealed the deal there because Vinny had to be able to bounce the first one, but when your Sterling Groves give each other Shroud.
I've played Blue White Spirits for a while. And it does remind me of the Drogskull Captain lock. I do love it.
All right, we got 17 minutes left. I'm gonna go see if we got another match because that's a lot of
You
time.
should probably go get yourself a beer too, Travis. All right, do we have the theme music coming up, or am I supposed to just talk out my butt right now? You hear this guy, everybody?
You can hit. That turns the theme music off. And that turns.
All right. Well, chat, it's your boy Nat Crosman here in the booth, flying solo. I have not commentated for about 3 years. Pre-pandemic was the last time, and I wasn't very good at that time either. So, throw your questions. Okay, Thunderwonk, you got it. I hear you. I am here to deliver. So let's see if we can get that. All right, here it comes. That's just for you, Thunderwonk. Don't say we never did nothing.